societies, not only individuals, can become filled with weeds. And weeds of superstition. There's a shocking type of ahistoricity among many sectors of ISKCON where people ignore real Vaishnava history and just make all kinds of claims about what is eternal and not, ignoring history, ignoring where things come from. And so there's just, education is so important. So that's my appeal to you. Someone has to organize a major international campaign to make clear to ISKCON that education has to be at the center of our movement, because it absolutely is not at the present time. So, thank you very much. Hope I didn't depress anyone, but if you have any questions, do we do questions at this conference?
Thank you very much, Matt, for that wonderful presentation. So at this point, yes, we have about 15 minutes for questions. Whoever has questions, I'll just request them to come, or comments, I request them to come forward and speak in the microphone, so Maharaj can hear and so it can be recorded.
Maharaj, thank you very much. I have one question. If any, some of our, actually we have the Minister of Education here.
Yes.
We have the Executive Secretary for the Ministry of Education, and I was wondering if maybe they can make a few comments about your ideas like that. Okay, the one GBC Secretary is standing up. He's moving to the microphone, Maharaj. Watch out, the earth is shaking.
That's my old friend, Shesha.
Yes, okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. How are you?
Very well, nice to see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hare Krishna.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. I recall several years ago when I was living in Los Angeles, you were there at that time too, and you started to get together a group of people that would be a think tank, almost like Rand Corporation or something like that. The idea of bringing some minds together to strategize. I think that may be one step in the direction of your saying of trying to convince the society of the importance of education, getting some good minds together and strategizing a step-by-step procedure. I had to leave LA shortly after that, so I don't know if that continued, your work continued in that regard, but I think your views are important for the future of our society, and I do believe that education can, play a factor in that, and I'll try to do what I can to help the society in that way. So I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Shesha Prabhu. Perhaps I would say to Shesha, perhaps you can reconstitute us and start as a group to figure out how we can convince ISKCON.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, I can work on that and try to do that. Yeah, when you're back in America, maybe I can come and visit you, and we can talk about it and get a few heads together and see what we can do in that regard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maharaj, this is, I think, this is the second North American conference on education. It was 17 years before this. There had been nothing. Yeah. So actually, something really does seem to be happening with the dynamic. But I have one question. It's almost the same thing. Is that okay? We're all kind of behind your idea of spreading education within ISKCON and so forth, and so on. Then, what do you have some ideas about how then to do that? I mean, we should start a letter writing campaign, or what should we do?
I think we should. Well, that devotee to your right looks very intelligent.
He's my friend.
Yes.
He doesn't say much. He doesn't talk much, but he carries a big stick.
Well, I think, like Shesha Prabhu said, that we need to form some kind of committee. We need to come up with a campaign because ISKCON is so big right now and it's so spread out all over the world. It's not like the old days. You actually need to organize an intelligent campaign to somehow other reach people. I mean, it has to be a determined, persistent, intelligent, attractive campaign. Education in ISKCON has to fight for its place. It's not that we're just going. It's not you're going to write a nice little proposal and present it to some administrators in ISKCON, and they'll get it. I mean, we have to. Education has to fight for its place, and if education doesn't get its proper place in ISKCON,
So, well, what?
Yes.
Okay, so having a think tank, everything else. For example, like.
Yes.
What are you doing yourself? I know, for example, you're publishing some books and some literature like that. One question: what is the place of writing fictional stories which illustrate our points? Writing novels and things like that.
Well. With all due respect, I mean to everyone that I may offend, when Prabhupada said cultural conquest, I don't think it simply means bringing culture from another part of the world. I think it means also we have to create culture. We have to create great music, great literature. And it's just like, for example, if you open a restaurant in America, people have to like the food. You can't just...
Yeah, coming and going on the connection.
Okay. We have to create culture. We need great writers. We need great musical composers. We need people who are advanced in culture.
So what about producing a lot of novels, which actually, because it seems that people, Bhaktivedanta Thakur says everybody likes a new book, and there's so many books being published, everything else. So what about the area of writing fictional stories based upon scriptural bases like that?
Yeah, I just finished a novel. So. But again, it's part of a wider thing. We need culture. What? We need to produce culture. We need to encourage culture. We need to encourage the humanities. The humanities are not so strong in India, to be honest. I mean, the academic study of the humanities is more of obviously they teach that in India. Of course, they have good universities and they teach all that. But the humanities are really something which came out of the West. It came out of the Renaissance. And so when ISKCON radically denigrates and rejects Western civilization, part of what gets rejected is the humanities as something which is really important for ISKCON. And so I think there needs to be a flourishing, a flowering of the humanities in ISKCON, where we have great writers, we have great musical composers. That's a
art, dance, music, poetry, literature, philosophy.
Yes. We need a we
lost our connection.
Can you hear me now? Anyway, sorry for those on Ustream. You're having.
Is anybody else? Yes. We have some more people from the audience here with questions.
Yes.
Good morning, Maharaj.
Good morning. What's your name?
Pramohini.
Oh, Pramohini.
He doesn't recognize.
Pramohini from Houston.
Hari.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Haribol Maharaj. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Congratulations on your book, and thank you for releasing it, the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. I just want to say that first. Maharaj, what I heard you say when you were speaking was that the world is having one conversation, and the devotees, sort of as a closed group, is having another conversation. So my question, if that's correct, my question is, how do you see developing an educated class of devotees will make a difference in the future? How will that look? Can you give us some tangible examples of what difference you foresee that making?
Okay. For example, if you're going to go preach in Germany, you have to speak Germany. If you're going to speak, preach in France, you have to know French. So that in that global conversation among public intellectuals, there is a cultural language. There are terms, there are issues, there are, what is considered reasonable, what is not considered reasonable. It's a question of understanding the proper way to bring in your sacred spiritual beliefs. You can bring them in. It's absolutely okay to bring in your spiritual beliefs, but there's a proper way to do it. And so we need to train devotees to speak the language of the global conversation going on among public intellectuals, rather than just training devotees to carry on our private conversation disconnected from the world that nobody's listening to, at least out in the West. And so that's what education means. We need to train a powerful class of public intellectuals. For example, in America, there are Christian groups who had a long-term strategy because they are active in legislation, they're active in political affairs, they're active in public issues. And so they began emphasizing that very bright young Christian students focus on debating clubs. And the result is that in the last many years, debating clubs from Christian schools, small Christian schools, are defeating Harvard and Yale and Berkeley and so on, and winning national debate contests. Because they understand the value of that. And of course, we're just teaching people to play their harmonium, which is a really nice instrument. I personally like to play the harmonium, but it's not going to, necessarily by itself change the world. So again, I think part of this radical, mythological, irrational repudiation of the Western world. The Western world is darkness, everything in India is light. Part of that is the rejection of the humanities, a rejection of the arts, of Western arts, and devotees who are simply unable to talk to anyone that's not an inside of a yoga studio. And so I just got a note from Radhika Raman. Let's see. My handler, he said. Let's see, what did he say? Call drop. We lost you. Please turn off your video. Okay. Bye-bye, cruel world. Okay, so if you can hear me now, that's why, I'm not plugging Krishna West, believe me, but that's why I chose that little symbol in our logo, which is sort of a Greek or Neo-Greek, like typical little building with the, the triangle on top and the pillars, because it is this, I was looking for a positive Western symbol. And that kind of architecture is found throughout the Western world for courthouses where they try to administer justice. Oops. Sorry, Ustream fans. Oh, for those of you who are still on Ustream, I hope you're having a good time despite all these technical problems. We keep losing the Skype connection. We keep trying to get it back. So in the meantime, you could see if we can get it back on. Anyway, the point for Ustream, the point I was making is that the little Krishna West logo, is often used in courthouses and libraries and universities. In other words, it's really a symbol of justice, of reason, of knowledge, and so on. And so it was an attempt to try to find the best of the West instead of always focusing on the worst in our classes and our preaching, always trying to show how the West is absolutely horrible and disgusting, and everything in India is wonderful. Okay, maybe back on Skype now. Haribo?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it might, the connection might be a little stronger if we turn off video.
Okay.
Would you like to try that on your end?
Yeah.
So we just have a couple minutes left.
Okay.
But we have another question
Yeah.
here.
Okay, can I just quickly finish just what I was saying? And sorry, Ustream.
Oh, yes.
Sorry for this repetition on Ustream. That I see one of the principles that guide me is that you cannot simultaneously denigrate, insult, and despise a society and also attract it. And so it might be nice if we train devotees, educate them about all the best of Western culture, not just the worst. So you can give shocking Bhagavatam classes. In other words, it's not like one prominent leader of ISKCON just said that all Western clothes, like including like an organic cotton t-shirt, I mean, all Western clothes are just sex. Everything. You know, yogi, everything. There are no Western clothes that are decent. So this kind of consciousness, if you know, in order to participate, if we want to be respected, we have to respect. I think we have to teach our devotees to respect all the best of Western culture, not just to despise and denigrate it and then think you can attract it. So if we want to take part in the global conversation or the conversation in the Western world, we have to respect what is respectable, and of course doesn't mean we respect animal slaughter or sexual promiscuity, but there are many good people. I was with Prabhupada personally when one devotee was telling Prabhupada how bad the Americans were, and Prabhupada stopped him and said, no, they're good people, they're just ignorant, you have to enlighten them. And so I think we need to teach our devotees to respect the societies they live in, not blindly, not indiscriminately, but intelligently. Because in every society you will find the mode of goodness. Food, dress, music, dance, culture, and the mode of goodness. And we have to find that in every society we're in, and then teach people in that society how to approach Krishna through Shuddha Sattva, goodness offered to Krishna within their own society. We are not going to culturally colonize America. That is like clinically delusional. To think we're going to culturally colonize the United States or Spain or Germany. It's like seriously delusional. But what we can do is show them how they can learn to love Krishna by following Prabhupada within their culture, by taking the sattva guna elements of their culture and offering them to Krishna. So I think that's what education is about. We need to train devotees to be respectful, you know, like Boy Scouts. That's one of the qualities of Boy Scouts, respectful. To respect, sincerely respect the society they're in, the good parts of it. To be grateful for all the good things in their society, to admire what is admirable. They're having a renaissance of preaching now in Israel. I mean, and I'm not taking the credit, but I kept talking to them, and you cannot live in this country and just denigrate people or think that I'm not Israeli. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna called Arjuna Bharata. That's a nationality. Bharata is a nationality. Yadava is a nationality. Prabhupada said we should be famous as American Vaishnavas or, you know, Spanish Vaishnavas, German Vaishnavas. But yes, in the highest sense, we're not this body. But if we're going to effectively work in the human society, we have to, if we don't respect, we will not be respected. If we denigrate, we will be denigrated. And so I think it's very important to train people, educate devotees, to go to the world because the world is not coming to us. To go to the world in Krishna consciousness with respect as ladies and gentlemen and persuade the world to accept Prabhupada and Krishna. That's what, to me, what education is about.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hridayananda Maharaj?
Yes.
Yes, this is Gopi Gita from Dallas. Hare
Hey,
Krishna.
hey, Gopi Gita, how are you?
I'm doing very, very good. I wanted to thank you again for your donation that you give to us and you've given to us and your great support for all the devotees who are here. We are one of the schools that he has supported, and he gets our digital newsletter every year. And so in addition to his support, he pushed us and instructed us to also reach out for the community support, because that's kind of like a gift that keeps giving. And so I just wanted to take this moment to really thank you for that. And to update you a little bit on what we are doing in Dallas. You spoke about the need for a world conversation. And in our... Can you hear me, Maharaj?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, you spoke about the need for world conversation, and in that, in our school, in addition to aligning the objectives with Krishna consciousness and like the Krishna conscious philosophy, we also try in our own humble way to push the children to see world events that are occurring at the same time and to actually actively participate. For example, we had an oceanography project where one of the seven-year-old students was so moved by the difficulty in the ocean, like the pollution, that he wrote a speech and posted it up, a speech against ocean pollution. And then also, when the earthquake happened in Nepal, the children fundraised for it. You know, little things like this, we're trying to teach them to synergize, and this is their way of preaching, that they'll be successful in their careers going forward, but also to network with not just devotees, but people of their communities and the entire country. And so I just wanted to let you know that we are attempting to do that, and hearing your words reinforces to us how important it is. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Gopi Gita. Can I just add one thing? It was really great hearing from you again, and makes me want to give more to your school. But I would say, I think you're doing a great job, and the school in Dallas is doing a great job, and you deserve a lot of credit and admiration. I would say that you probably already do this, so I'm not saying you're not doing this, but it would be good to teach the devotees when they have issues like, for example, issues like ocean pollution. It'd be nice to train them to really admire a culture, in this case, America, or so many other countries, not just America. The fact that there are so many good people that are doing this, and that we care about the ocean, and it's great devotees get involved, but we also sincerely respect and admire those people who have created projects like this, and that it shows that, as Krishna says in the Gita, there are people in the mode of goodness. And that these people, if they could just understand that Krishna is really the source of the ocean. But that's good. You're doing a great job, and we'll talk.
Yes, that's very true. Like, for example, in the past, when you look at the TEKS, the Texas Knowledge and Skills, for geography, they align it with giving them information about the country and the heroes of the country. And for many years in Gurukul education, that has been kind of sideswept under the rug. It's not so important. But for the past few years, we have been identifying that as a priority in our schools to also teach them about the world that we live in. Now, I had a question for you. This problem that you identified of just a few schools in North America and around the world, this is something that really speaks true to those of us who are at the forefront of elementary education or high school education in ISKCON. What is your advice to those of us, of course, Hanumat Prashik Maharaj and Radhikaman Prabhu and the foundation here, they're doing a lot of work towards changing that. So that alarming, shocking information, how would you recommend somebody like myself or those of us that are in Dallas, how would we change that or affect some sort of change on the management of ISKCON level, like in a respectful fashion? What's your advice to what we can do to work to changing this?
Thank you, Gopi. Thank you, Gopi. I would say that you absolutely should be on the team. I mean, you personally, I think Dallas Gurukula, it's a beautiful story. It's, so many dedicated, wonderful devotees and children. I think that we all need to work together and either inspire, shame ISKCON into doing something. I mean, frankly, I'm not above shaming people. I mean, it's not the first choice, of course. But I think that we need to make publicity films about your school. We need to send people around to make films. We need to bring this everywhere to ISKCON because Brahmins, we need to, how can we establish a strong Brahmin class in the world unless we first establish an ISKCON? And the point is that ISKCON is becoming so big and sprawling, it's so diverse now that it's not a community, it's a real society now with millions of members. And frankly, it's not obvious. It's not obvious that we have a strong Brahminical class in ISKCON. We have great Brahmins like yourself and so many others, but we don't have a strong Brahmin class in ISKCON. The Brahmins are more or less kind of almost like the employees of the managers. They're just like instruments of managerial policy rather than having a truly strong Brahminical class. And so I think you, and of course my old friend and brother Shesha Prabhu, and there's so many powerful, just like you, Gopi Gita, you're talking right now, I was thinking, boy, she's good. She's a smart girl, and she can really talk. And so I think, the Brahmins have Shakti. The Brahmins have Shakti, and so what we need to do is we need to mobilize. We can't just be the humble, frankly, just the humble kind of, people that run around and according to what the managers say. The Brahmins have to emerge as a powerful, articulate, influential class in ISKCON. Because right now, Prabhupada said in his, this is, let's just be adults and speak the truth to each other. Prabhupada said in his last will and testament that the GBC is the ultimate managing authority of ISKCON. I completely accept that. The GBC is the legitimate system of government for ISKCON. It's obviously what Prabhupada wanted. The historical dangers of not doing it are frightening. So yeah, that's our system. And the current members of the GBC, however I may disagree with them on certain issues, as I do, they are the legitimate government of ISKCON. I do not question their legitimacy. However, according to Prabhupada's own definition, in his last will and testament, they are an administrative body. What ISKCON does not have, as frankly, a counterweight to the administrative body, is a powerful, articulate Brahmin class that teaches ISKCON what it needs to do in terms of education, in terms of speaking to the world, in terms of getting past, frankly, ethnic mythologies and just, letting the world be comfortable with us. And so it's not that, frankly, it's not that the Brahmins go to the administrators, the managers, and just, tell them like, will you allow us to do our duty? The Brahmins, I'm not preaching anarchy here. The managers establish the laws of ISKCON. We are not anarchists. We're not, outlaws. We work within the laws of ISKCON established by the administration that Prabhupada established. However, the Brahmins need to have their own voice. The Brahmins need to speak directly to ISKCON, and tell ISKCON what it needs to do. And frankly, the way ISKCON works in the real world, and I've seen it because I was on the GBC for many decades, is that often when there is a public demand for something in ISKCON, and that public demand is reasonable and within Prabhupada's teachings, then the GBC has to honor that demand if it's reasonable and within the principles of Prabhupada's teachings. And so, no, I don't believe it's just about going to the GBC. I believe it's about taking our case to the ISKCON public, to the Vaishnav public, convincing them, using the natural power that the Brahmins have, speaking reasonably, making the argument, persuading the devotees, and because the managers, and this is what I firmly believe as a lifelong student of history, as a quote unquote, this sounds like stupidly pretentious, but professionally trained historian, will the administrators just do everything? No, they won't. There has to be a powerful Brahmin class in ISKCON that makes the case, inspires the devotees, persuades the devotees, motivates them. 90% or more, probably 95% or more, of all the members of ISKCON do not live in temples, have their private lives, their families, their jobs, their houses, and their power to give to what they believe in. So it's not just like it used to be. I mean,
Thank you.
What's that?
Sorry, Maj, I didn't mean to interrupt. This is Radhikaran. But now that I have interrupted, my apologies. Braja Bihari Prabhu is waiting online to
Braja Bihari.
connect for
Okay.
our next speech. If it's okay, we can call it to a close here. The devotees, we would all, of course, love to continue in your association, but unfortunately time presses us on. So thank you. Let us all thank Hridayananda Maharaj once more for his presentation.
Hey, so just one last question.
Thank you for that inspiring talk.
Yeah, one last. Yeah, that's what I do. Fiery talks. Hey, Gopi Gita, did you get it?
She says yes, she got it.
Okay. Well, anyway, my sincere thanks to you. All glories to the Vaishnav Brahmins and educators. And I hope that soon Shesha and I and Gopi Gita and everybody else can start to do something to fix this.
Haribol, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Haribol.
Thank you, Maj.
So, thank you all on Ustream.